Dagomba had signed a treaty with Ashanti to produce 1,000 slaves annually to the Ashanti state, which the literatures have. You can Google and get this one for yourself. And so Dagomba, in attempt to make these 1,000 slaves, would have to employ bandits like Babatu. And of course, Samori will join him later. And so they begin to attack these theocentric clans because they are smaller units of settlement. And so one of the instances, they attacked the Bulsa people. And so the Bulsa defeated them. And how did they defeat them? They actually the warriors decoy themselves into animals, wearing horns and carrying animal skins along. And then form divisions, about 3 divisions, such that these raiders walk into the Bulsa warriors without even knowing that they had come that closer, because the Bulsa didn't use gun, and so they needed a closer range fight. And so the people came closer and they started cudgeling them down and also piercing them with bows and arrows.
So I'm here with Mr. Ishmael.
Yeah, Ishmael Juno.
Juno.
Yes.
Okay. What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm currently a student of the Institute of African Studies, University of Ghana.
Okay.
And I'm also an author with 3 novels to my credit. My works are basically exploring some histories and cultural complexities of the northern territories, but to the larger extent, Africa. Yeah, so basically that's what I do. So for now, yes.
Wow. So I think we have a lot of things in common. I love our history. I feel like there's a lot that many people don't know, and I try to bring you this in visuals, audio visuals, so that you can have time and then learn and, you know, entertain yourself. So now here, today is the Fiok Festival.
Yes.
Tell me about the Fiok Festival.
Fine. I personally chose to, this is my first time of participating directly in the Fiok Festival. One of the reasons, which of course the most important reason, is the fact that I recently launched a slavery narrative, which to some extent has been inspired by the story of the Fiok Festival. But before we come to the Fiok Festival proper, what happened was that by the late 17th century to the 20th century, the North came seriously under slavery and slave trade. And so before the 17th century, the coastal dwellers had become so used to it that some even turned into merchants. So you can mention the likes of Kuntum Blankson from Anomabo. And so attention came to the North. And it came to the North not because the Northerner was physically strong, but because he was a theocentric person. Because if you take the entire upper regions, referring to the upper east and the upper west and part of northeast region, we didn't come with chieftaincy. So what it means is that we came with clan heads. And so we settled so sparsely based on our clans. And because of the sparse nature of our settlement, and of course, there were some instances of feud among some of these clans. And so slave raiders will actually capitalize on this lacuna. But what really aggravated it was the fact that Dagomba had signed a treaty with Ashanti to produce 1,000 slaves annually to the Ashanti state, which the literatures have. You can Google and get this one for yourself. And so Dagomba, in attempt to make these 1,000 slaves, would have to employ bandits like Babatu. And of course, Samori will join him later. And so they begin to attack these theocentric clans because they are smaller units of settlement. And so one of the instances, they attacked the Bulsa people. And so the Bulsa defeated them. And how did they defeat them? They actually the warriors decoy themselves into animals, wearing horns and carrying animal skins along. And then form divisions, about 3 divisions, such that these raiders walk into the Bulsa warriors without even knowing that they had come that closer, because the Bulsa didn't use gun, and so they needed a closer range fight. And so the people came closer and they started cudgeling them down and also piercing them with bows and arrows. And so that was how Babatu was defeated, specifically at a place called Fisa. Fisa is now the host of the shrine called Azaksuk. And the current chief of Sandema is equally called Azaksuk, because he was made after that shrine. So he's called Azaksuk Azantelo. He's the current chief of Sandema. And so basically, they will now need to celebrate this victory annually to mimic the bravery, the valor, and the ancestral wisdom of their ancestors for this present generation and generations to follow. So basically that is the story around the Fiok Festival of the Bulsa people.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
but,
So before we proceed, now is it the same Babatu and Samaru Ture who were raiding slaves and keeping them at Ikoro, or different one?
yeah, it was the same people because Picoro was actually a slave market. And so anybody who traded in slaves, whether you were capturing and selling or you were interested in buying slaves, then you could get some from the Picoro slave market. Some of these proceeds were sent into Salaga, which was around the 16th century, the biggest slave market you could talk about in West Africa, and the strongest, trade post, in West Africa at that time, as far as slavery is concerned. Yes, so the Picoro encounter was basically supplying the slaves. Babatu was a Nigerian, and so he was a Zambrama man.
Okay.
So he brought his slaves there. But he will definitely go around to the Sisales, and that's why you have the Bolu slave defense wall. He terrorized the Sisala. So when you go to Sisala area, you'll find communities like Kasana. Kasana was his armory. Then you would find communities like Lelexi, where they have a natural tunnel, where the entire community could hide under the tunnel in months because there's water as we speak. So you can take opportunity to explore Kasana. It's not far from Tumu, and Lelexi is equally not far. So when you go to the Sisala territories, they were worst affected. And these progenies were basically sent to Salaga or to the Dagomba state. And that's the alliance Dagomba had with Ashanti because they were giving so many slaves to the Ashanti state. Okay. That is what really birthed the relationship between Dagomba and Ashanti today. Yeah.
So like the current trend that we have that some Dagombas say is not true, and the whole lot of things that the Dagombas were slaves to the Ashantis. Is it true or false?
Well, to that extent, there have been about 2 schools of thought about it. But the literature consistently states that Dagomba came under treaty. Now, the treaty, whether it was a partnership or it was a domineering treaty, is what we need to be talking about because of the sensitivity. Okay. But which, at any rate, Dagomba came into treaty with Ashanti. And so Dagomba called their warrior clan Kambonsi. And Kambonsi means Ashanti, even today.
Kambonsi means
Ashanti, yes. Kambonsi means Ashanti.
So
and that's
does
the name
mean
of
they
the...
were fighting the Ashantis, or...
it means that there was that kind of amalgamation. So what happened was the Ashanti sent gunpowder, guns, and other war accoutrement because they had access to the British. They had access to these articles, war articles. Okay. And so they were also, in giving for the slaves that Dagomba would send, they also received this. And sometimes even some kind of warrior capacity development. I want to believe that there have been some Ashantis who came to Dagom and never returned, and today they are Ashantis. And so the Kambonsi clan among the Dagomba means the warrior clan of Dagomba. Okay. So that relationship is clear. Okay. But as to whether it was a domineering subjugation or it was a partnership, there was a treaty. Okay. Because there are several literature to account to that effect. Okay. Yes.
So here is another thing that I want to find out. I've been to Gonja Kenya.
Yeah.
And then they said that there was a point in time that they conquered Babatu and Samaru Ture. And how they conquered them was that they fought them and pushed them down south until they were captured as slaves.
Yeah, so
how true is that? Yeah. And is it the same Babatu and that you killed, or their brothers? Like, what's the...
Yeah, so fine. At a point when Babatu got to these territories, even some Kassanes joined him. He was a bandit, so anybody who was a stubborn person could join him, just like an armed robbery group. Okay, so some of the commanders were actually even Kassana people. Okay. So anytime some of these communities maybe killed any of the commander, they jump to conclusion that they have killed Babatu. But Babatu's grave solidly is lying in the heart of Yendi. And there is a street currently in Yendi named Babatu Street in Yendi as we speak. Anybody who is listening to video can just go to see. I was there to see Babatu's great-grandchildren or sons, and also to inspect some of the accoutrements he used. I compared them to those I found within the Bulsa, and they were the same. Okay. Good. So
the Gonja that you killed here,
yeah,
they sent him to Yendi to go and bury him.
No, it means that you could have killed one of the commanders of the Babatu army, but the actual Babatu ended up in Yendi. Okay. And that is where he's officially buried and recognized. There's a mausoleum in honor of him in Yendi. Okay. But some of the areas, they killed his commanders. And so, yes, there are people will jump into conclusion that, look, I have killed Baba too.
Okay.
Because that was basically weakening his strength. But among the Gonja didn't have much to do with Baba too. The Gonja rather encountered Samori Ture. Now, let me tell you, Mole National Park is named after Samori Ture. Get it on record. It's supposed to be Samori Park. And Gonja, no Gonja best Mole. I mean, this experience Gonja don't want to even think about. My mother is Gonja. My mother is Azaram Mahamajina Paul.
Okay.
And I know Gonja culture even than my father's culture.
Okay.
You know, I finished primary school, JHS in Busnu, in Savannah region. I speak Gonja than any other language.
Wow.
That's my mother tongue.
Wow.
So Gonja really had a problem. And Samori, the only community that stopped Samori in Gonja Kingdom was Busnu. In case you've ever passed through Busnu, between Damango and Fofuso Junction, you find Busnu. That was where Samori was curtailed. But Samori had conquered part of Gonja Kingdom, including Bole. He conquered Kong. Kong is sitting currently in the heart of the Mole National Park. Okay. And when he conquered Kong, he basically planted his palace in the enclave of the Mole National Park. And that's why the park is named after him. And the archive has it to prove. And so clearly, the Gonja didn't have much to do with Babatu. They actually encountered Samori Ture. And Samori devastated the kingdom terribly. And today, Gonja cannot even repair the impact of Samori's attack because he has forced them to eliminate Kong from going to the Gonja paramountcy. Simply because when he conquered Kong, Kong was forced to pull warriors to support him to attack their brothers. And so when the brothers found out that, oh, these warriors are from Kong, they felt that it was rather Kong that invited Samori. And that was why the Samarali...
Is Kong the people in the Upper West region?
Yeah,
wow.
That area was actually for Gonjas. It is political demarcation that part of that area fell into the Sisala.
But when I went to Gonja, they said one of the king-making clans has been taken out. So I just wanted to get understand. That's cool.
That's cool. They took them out on the basis that when Samori conquered them, whether Samori forced them to contribute to warriors or they willingly joined Samori, at any rate, Gonja saw that Kong warriors had joined Samori.
Okay.
And so they felt that they betrayed the kingdom. And that's why they removed Kong.
But another school of thought, another thing I heard was that it's because of their distance from the...
No, maybe they want to play politics with you. But this is the raw fact that the history has. And I have been sitting with the chief of Kong to talk about it. Apart from the literature, I sit with him, he's a godfather, and he told me, look, our ancestors were never invited to answer for ourselves. They accuse us of supporting Samori and summarily dismiss us. Otherwise, Kong is supposed to be the third born of Ndewurajapa on authority.
Okay, so now, looking at the nature of this place, like the moment you leave Sunyani coming up, you see that now the topography, everything changes. It's like you're in the same country, but it feels different, right? You come around and, I mean, it's totally different, right? So what can you say, or what? Why so?
Yeah, of course.
Because just before you finish, because when I have been to Burkina Faso, just through Paga, the moment you enter Burkina Faso, it feels like just this part is something different.
Yeah.
But you're in the north, so if there is no green there, there shouldn't be green there.
Exactly.
Like things has to, align.
Yeah.
But it feels different. So
yeah, for the topography, you rightly got it because basically we're all coming from the Mali Empire, and so so it was like the weakest were rather being pushed further because the civilization was an Arab civilization, and it actually started from the north. Okay, so these places were found as very easy points because they were basically dealing with animals. So horses, cattle, and these cattle, this is the savanna areas that really favors them, especially in those days with the checha fly, okay, in the southern zones. So it wasn't accommodating to the animals that our people raised. So that was one of the reasons. But then again, it was about the powers to stay here because it was about conquest all the time, subjugation all the time, because the civilization was moving from this part. Now the South will start to gain fame only when the Westerners came along the coast. Otherwise, that place, we call it bush, okay, because it was not habitable for human beings, until the West came into the coast. These areas were classified as not deserving areas to stay, okay? This is actually where the world, the situation began. I mean, coming from the empires, it took from this up to Bonomanso. Yeah, so basically interior South will only have to thank the white man and of course the sea passing through there that brought the European civilization. Otherwise the first civilization was the Arab civilization. And it tells you that this actually was the cradle of it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if we talk about civilization, we can go back to the, I don't know if it's called African civilization, like Timbuktu, Alexandria, and all these things in Africa, including like the early Christian church in Ethiopia and all that. Would you say, what would we say about that?
No, before we think about all this, we are really talking about the Arab civilization here because it actually outdated the European civilization by far. Okay, and so that's it. So in terms of civilization, yes, this is how it moves an Arab, but later on these Westerns will come around. But you see, the north, the topography of the north doesn't really support some other plants today that have become very important. Yeah, but of course we also have some counterparts of these crops. But cocoa became a chief crop in the south. Cocoa is not a Ghanaian crop. It was brought by the British. Of course, there's a myth of Tetekwashi also. But between 1920 and 1940, the cocoa was actually established by the British in the southern zones. Okay, and then of course, by 1960, Ghana was leading cocoa production globally. And the people who did the labor for the cocoa were Northerners. Simply because the British template says that the North became part of the Gold Coast Protectorate later. And so we joined later, so to speak. And the British not found anything they needed at that point to pick from the North for their economy in Europe. Decided to play on the North by just simply turning the Northern folk into, commoditizing them into labor pool to the Southern zone. So that was what happened. So by 1935, the Northern earned names like Pepe for Entafo simply because he works on the cocoa and also do menial jobs for their landlords, household. So basically that's where these names are coming from. And of course the mining. And so on and on and on, we have come to this level. Today the Northern is called Kayaye, or Kayayo. And that is just a sister to the Pepe for Entafo concept. It still means that the North is subservient to the North, to the South. And the roads never came here because the British had nothing they needed here. The railways never came here because they had nothing to pick with their trains. And so the North is underdeveloped in terms of infrastructure, simply because the British didn't see anything to pick, so there was no need putting infrastructure here. And also they wanted to deny the area infrastructure in such that the people will see the South as a place to rather go, like we go abroad and come with happiness. So they decided to deny the North all these things. So that's why the North is still suffering from this underdevelopment in terms of infrastructure. And so before the North can catch up, we are saying that we must decolonize the system. Decolonize the system simply means that we must do what Ibrahim Traore is doing, because if we can use the resources of the people to develop them, then that is what decolonization should also be about.
So, so now, like, you are part of Ghana. So what do you mean by decolonizing the system?
Decolonizing the system simply means that we must fashion out or fish out our own indigenous system of development. Simple as that, relying on what we have naturally endowed to grow our economy. And that means that you have to cut off from loans, you have to cut off from policies that will make you subservient to European economies. Okay, just like Ibrahim has done. So we need to decolonize the cultural space, we need to decolonize the economic space. When we gain freedom, there was nothing much inside the freedom package. It was just a small thing. So we need to do more to really be independent. We are still not yet independent. And so as it is now, the North is still ailing. And until we do this deliberate decolonization, we can't catch up. Today, the Northern is still being loaded into military, police, and trust me, all these guys will come back as watchmen. It tells you that the trend is not changing, but it's just being recycled. So we need to really think seriously.
Okay. Question I want to ask is that what is the everlasting impact that even though you won against Babatu and Shamari Toure, what has their actions, caused? Like, has the conquering them changed something?
Yes, it is. It is really we are celebrating today, which is actually nearing to tourism benefit. I've seen a few white people here, and myself, I'm here particularly today because of York. Several people came in. That's one of the benefits. But you see, what they did to us was that they jeopardized our trust for one another, because the clans team up with them to betray their brothers. And since then, the Northerner has not been able to overcome it fully. People still have lived memory of this pain. They can still narrate how their ancestors were captured. So the memories are not far, and we coded them in our shrines. We coded them, and that's what the Northern doesn't even like telling the story of how we go through, until we realize that some historians are writing slavery and think it's about the castles and think about reparation. They forget about the hinterland suffrage, where all the slaves were actually being pulled out. And that's why my book called Ladime is actually mimicking how slavery was actually done over here.
Do you have the book here?
That is it. It's here. So Ladime, if you really want to get a full glimpse of how slavery was perpetrated in the North, talk about trans-Saharan slave trade, talk about Ashanti aggression on the Northerner, talk about transatlantic, and talk about colonialism, which was yet a form of slavery to the Northerner, get to read this book. It explains why the North is the way it is, and why a politician cannot just come and say that I will fix this road. They can't say that because on the template, the North technically do not qualify for multi-billion asphalt roads, because what we produce here, even in 20 years, cannot pay for a road stretching from Wa linking up to Bolga. As a result, most of our paths are still cow paths, I like to call them. If
Cow
not
paths.
cow paths, yes, that have opened up, and slave routes. Most of the routes within our hinterland are still slave routes. I mean, talk about the Yagaba linking up Mankargo and those, these are slave routes. I mean, the Pico road that you know. Slave routes all over the Bolu areas. You find all these slave routes, and that's why we have opened up and using. We don't really have roads here. If not for the sake of the Chinese tricycle and the Indian tricycle, you could have come to see the Northerner walking far distance like a cow.
Well, I think I can attest to that because
Well.
some years ago that I started exploring here, I mean, it's very difficult. If you want to get a car, it's very difficult. And as I was coming here, from Accra to this place is just like maybe 14 hours drive, right? But because I was not driving, and then I didn't get a straight car to Navrongo, it took me 27 hours to get here.
Sure.
Because you get somewhere and you have to wait for hours, get another connecting car and all that.
So that's a
so
testimony.
imagine if I'm not a traveler, that I'm coming and I'm with my friends and we know the route. We just
you can't make it.
We just have to walk.
Of course, and you saw the donkeys. You made donkey carts and all that. So take away the Chinese tricycle that came recently, and you can picture the North. It gives you a clear picture of the North. So our politician and the kind of current system that we are running can never change the North.
Okay.
It can only raise single individuals.
Don't you think that, for me personally, as I've explored a lot of our culture, our history and all that, don't you think that what we need is sanitization of our mind and, true identity and all that, so that, for instance, if I produce, let's say, tomatoes or yam here, I have to think beyond the box of producing yam or something and even think of how to use the yam and rather stay here, industrialize what I have rather than going to the south. Whilst the people at the south are also traveling abroad. So if you think that going to the south is abroad, the people down south is also traveling, like it's the same thing everywhere.
Exactly. So what it means is that what you're talking about is basically what I mentioned when I say decolonization.
Okay.
If you do not decolonize, you don't have your mental freedom to even think. Currently, a bag of maize is going between 250 and 300 cities. Okay. Cheap, it cannot pay for the cost of labor and input on the farms. So, and this is the economy, that's the reality of the economy. It's still not working yet. I mean, how do you invest 5,000, more than 5,000 into an acre, only to go and sell a bag of maize for 250, 300? Definitely such an economy is not functioning. It's not effective. That's the problem here. That's the problem. I mean, people have gone into system and they are not selling again because Burkina buy them. This time Burkina stop buying, and then that is their problem. So farmers cannot even pay for the cost of production this year as we speak. So that is the downtrodden situation.
Is it that we are not eating what we grow?
That is part of it. That is basically part of it. And of course, bad policies. Because if government want to favor the city dweller, he needs to punish the farmer to reduce the prices of food in Accra, and they will hail you. So each time the farmer is happy here, Accra, we cry because things, cost of food become very expensive. So the
robbing
government,
Peter to pay Paul.
exactly, that's a picture of it. Without begging, without apologizing for anything. That's basically what's happening here. So that is why the Northerner is still struggling. And this struggle will continue for a very long time until we decolonize, because the kind of send MP, send minister, you cannot actually develop the area through that, because he's working within the template, like I mentioned, and the template already has defined the position of the North, subservient to the South. And until that template is broken, so John Mama, I heard him talking about making some major roads on the big push. If he's able to do those roads, and if they are not fake roads, if they are really quality roads, then I can say he's in the decolonization process. But if he gives a road that will last for only 2 years and start going bad, it can be fake, because to decolonize, you must give us roads that can take over 50 years.
Don't you think that is the work of the contractor, not the president?
No, I mean, how much you give a contractor?
So the contractor
the
who
contractor brings,
submits
yeah, and per the samples you pick and pay, you should be able to supervise to get it right. There are certain information
so
I
maybe
can't
I
divulge.
think this message should go to the road minister instead.
Well, they should monitor, but you see, they should do the right thing, because sometimes the whole system can be under a scam, in the sense that if you cost a road on a quality road, then you end up giving half of the money to the contractor. Trust me, whatever you do, he's going to give you a bad job. So give them full cost to give a road that can last 50 years before you think of working on it. Otherwise, you are really not helping the situation much.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you started researching about your people, slave history and all that, what is the one thing that you saw that shocked you?
Yes, so what shocked me, basically, like I mentioned, we don't have trust for each other. Northerners, one Northerner looks like a baobab tree, so strong. You bring 2, 3 Northerners and we become weak, because we don't trust each other. I can still tell how your great-grandfather actually terrorized my great-grandfather. We still have this embedded in our history, in our tradition. They're embedded in our shrines. They're embedded. So it's jeopardized our trust.
Is that why usually, like in the South, people fight? Recently, when they were celebrating Homomo, one Asafwache and all that, about 3 or 4 people died. But there was nothing again to bring about another fight.
I get your anger.
There was no follow-up fight to kill someone or
everything was curtailed. The rampant fights.
Is that the reason why here it looks like fights never end?
Yes, one of it. I already told you that we were theocentric people. And so British came and forced chiefs on us. We didn't have chiefs. Most of these people, for example, if you take these people, you are theocentric people.
Theo means
God.
Okay.
So because
religious
yes, what it therefore means that the Tendana will have to pour libation to hear from their ancestor before you can take a decision.
Okay, but that's the same case for the Ewes and the Gans.
Good. So for
and the Guans.
Okay, yeah,
so there are people like that who live in the South who don't have.
But they came originally with chiefs.
No.
That's a different fine. So if they form the chiefs later, in our case, British.
They form the chiefs later. Some form the chiefs later because of war.
So that they can defend their territory.
So that they can defend their
exactly. So fine. Once the chieftaincy in the north predominantly was colonial owned. What colonial owned means that they impose chiefs on Tendana or theocentric people. So it means that the chieftaincy doesn't have a root from any clan. So when the position is vacant, anybody with financial muscle can front for it.
Okay.
And political backing can front, because there is no lineage. So you feel you're powerful, I feel I'm powerful, then we fight. That is the problem we have here, typically.
I don't want to, for certain reasons, I don't want to mention certain places. You understand?
I do get you.
Yes,
and it's part of it. Those places you don't want to mention is still the same.
It's still the same.
Yes.
But apart from that place, recently at another place, which is quite also not far from here, there were similar things about some people, and they were like the people don't belong there, and then some land and kiosks and whatever.
So when you go to the north,
is it the same thing going
it's the same.
through everywhere?
Yeah, it's the same going through the all the upper regions. Nobody was theocentric, was the chieftaincy people.
Okay.
The whole of the upper regions and part of north is the Konkomba, Bimobes and all that. These all groups were theocentric people.
Okay.
So if you say that the north, those people who brought chieftaincy originally were basically 2.
Okay.
That's Gonja and Mamprusi.
Okay.
But by Mamprusi, you're also talking of Dagomba. Yeah, the Mamprusi, Dagomba will pick it from the Mamprusi, and Danumba will also pick from Mamprusi.
Okay.
So that's why they are one. So I boxed them into one, and then they go in there. So these were the only people who came originally with chiefs. So all the other chiefs you see were made later by the British.
So is that why it looks like the other made, I don't know,
yeah, so
chiefs,
exactly.
that area, there are quite a lot of unresolved fights.
Yes, unresolved simply because I am a theocentric president. What it means is that when you go to the north and you want to know who owns the land, ask who poured libation to the shrine. The one who poured libation to the shrine is the original settler.
Okay.
Any other person is a stranger.
Okay. So if you go to Boku, who pours libation to the
yeah,
shrine?
of course, the Kusasi poured libation
To the shrine.
to the shrine.
Okay. So what
But the Mamprusi came with chieftaincy, which they admired.
Okay.
And they said, okay, we love your leadership. So when we have problem, we'll come to you, be our chief. Because it was nothing to them.
So why is it an issue now?
Yeah, so everybody is decolonizing their space.
Okay.
So majority wants to rule. And so we've learned enough, so we can also continue from where you left. And I will say, no, I will not agree because my ancestors have fought for this place. They've defended you. I mean, it's an ancestral land. Our graves are here. We can't leave.
I think similar thing happened between the Kamares and the Sakpali.
The Sakpari people.
This man,
you are deep in the north.
Yes.
Because I congratulate you for these tribes you are mentioning alone tells me that you are a guru. And I will leave the rest because if you know Kamara and Sakpari, these are smaller units within the Gonya confluence.
Yes.
And you know them, and you know how the Sakpari, they are basically the prayer warriors of the Gonya kingdom.
Yes.
I mean, it tells me that you are fantastic anthropologist.
So like the Kamares were originally joined the Japanese caravan, and then the Sakparis were supposed to be doing the spiritual consultation and all that, but they were not in depth like the Kamares. So they invited the Kamares to join them. The Kamares joined them, they learned from them and all that. And when they got to Larabanga, the Kamares said, now you know everything, so we want to settle here. And the Sakparis continue. Yeah, the Sakparis continue.
No, that's
so
the story of it.
Why can't it be like that?
Yeah, I mean, because today politics has come in, and when there is a president or a minister in the community, they ask for the unit heads, and when they go to unit head, they give them envelopes. So why wouldn't people be struggling to take these positions? That's just a problem, it's politics. So all of that, we still blame them on colonialism. Yeah, they came and we thought they were jokers, but they actually devastated our system.
Wow.
So for the North, completely devastated, and we continue to fight here until maybe one day we'll decolonize. It's embarrassment.
Okay. So if someone want to buy your book,
yeah, so
how do they?
It's 100 cedis a copy. You can buy from me. You can just place Ishmael Juno. If you go to Facebook, you can place it the right order. Then I'll find a way of locating you. But where you can get these books, Cape Coast Castle. The tourist.
But I think I'll add a description in the video in the comment section.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'll add a description there, so you can just also click on that link.
Okay, enjoy.
I
will do, bro.
Everything we've been talking about
is there. So get it.
Okay.
You know, so you can get it at the Cape Coast Castle, Bisabirwa Museum in the second D. You can get it at Mole National Park craft shop. You can buy this book at Moving Pig Hotel in Accra. They have a gift box. They are there. You can buy it from the Institute of African Studies bookshop, Kwame Nkrumah Complex, University of Ghana. Then in Boga, you can buy it from ST Crystal Hotel. In fact, all my books, I have 3 books too. So when you read and you enjoy, order for the rest of the books.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think I also put some on my website. If you can
Wonderful.
order and then it will get you. So
that's it.
Go to shops and then you can see the book here.
Wow.
All right. So, guys.
This man is a Nordner. We will capture him to stay here.
Why am I
if you don't see him, ask me, he will stay here. I mean, the things you know blows my mind. And I must congratulate you for that. Even, I mean, the average Northerner doesn't know these things that you are talking about. And your ability to hold me on very critical questions gives you your in-depth. Often I go to journalists and they just don't know the questions to ask. And I left them so disappointed. But you really push the bars, and that tells me how in-depth you have. Keep it up. The future is yours.
There are other things that I don't want to talk about,
we'll talk about
especially here, because I want you to live long.
I know.
Because if I ask you,
God bless you.
You will talk.
I will talk.
You talk.
I'm a talkative.
I'm sure you will not cross your boundary.
Somebody will fire me. It's true. Yeah, so bro, congratulations. Sure. Let's Ghana grow. We are there. The future is for our children. Let's help them. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
All right.